Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the shop. So, I wanted to start off by giving you a little update on what's going on. So, last time we planed and milled these boards, the Douglas fir construction lumber. And at the end, we found out that the boards were not entirely dry in the center. So, we stuck them, and it's been about 2 weeks. The boards have warped slightly. Not so much that I'm concerned, but they will need to be milled up again. I was hoping that 5/8 out of the boards, but it looks like they're going to end up probably being more like 1/2 inch. I'm going to have to think about what we're doing here, whether we continue with the project or start with something else. And maybe next time we'll get 2x12s instead of 2x10s. But I'm going to take some time. I'm going to think about it. We're going to continue letting these sit, make sure that they don't warp anymore. In the meantime, I have something that I needed to make for the project. Well, maybe not need, but wanted to make. When you're doing woodworking, you need to mark lines. And I've always used either a pencil or a knife. And here's the knife that I've been using. I don't know where I found this. It was probably just in a toolbox somewhere. But it's a very thin blade knife. And it's okay for marking on the outside. It doesn't really... So the problem is the tip here. I don't know if the knife broke or if this was how it was designed. But the point can't... It's hard to get into tight corners. So what I really need to do, first thing we're going to do is we're going to grind off this tip end here and make it come to a nice point, and that'll make this knife much more usable. However, I want to make a standard woodworking knife, and I've got some tool steel here that we can use to make a marking knife with. This was one that I started a long time ago, project I just never got around to finishing, but it's got a nice diamond point on it. And at the time, I did not have the ability to forge anything, so I kind of ground the back end square, and my intention was to just stick some plugs into it. But I think what we're going to try to do is forge this into an octagonal design, tapered, so that we can simply drill a hole and stick this in there with some glue. With this material, I think what we're going to do is make just a standard bevel instead of the diamond tip like I have there. I'm going to make this into a regular single blade. And I think I could probably get 3 knives out of this. Same thing again, I'm going to try to draw out an octagonal taper to stick into the handle. I also have this. This is just 1/4 inch round stock, and I'm going to make this into a burnisher. We're going to simply cut off a piece and then just stick it into a handle and heat treat it. And this will be for burnishing our card scrapers. I also have enough material here that I'm going to try to make an awl. And for that, we're going to need to try to draw out a taper on this. So let's go see what we can do. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start off by marking out our knife piece. I got some Dykem blue steel here, dye. We're simply going to paint on here and then mark out. Alright, so I got my combination square now, and we're going to mark this at 45 degrees. And again here. Okay, so now that we've done that, at this point, we need to file in the profile, because it is phenomenally easier to file the profile than it is to forge it down. So, we need to make a decision, and this is going to probably depend on whether you're right-handed or left-handed. But when you're using the knife down at an angle like this, now I'm right-handed, so I'm probably going to be holding the knife in my right hand, holding my square in the left hand, and I'm going to be marking like this, which means that the flat is going to register up against the combination square, and the bevel is going to be on this side, and that would be a right-handed marking knife. So we're going to take the file and just file in the angle that we want here. And you can use a grinder if you want. The metal comes annealed, so it is fairly easy to file this down pretty quickly. I also find that the file has more control, and I can see better where I'm taking off. Okay, so now that we've filed in our profile, I would say I probably put 15 or 20 degree bevel on this, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I did not file it all the way down to a edge, because what's going to happen is during the heat treating process this could warp and crack, and we don't want that. So we're going to heat it, and then once it's been hardened and tempered, we will finish off the edge on a grinder or a belt sander, and then with whetstones to completely sharpen it. Okay, so we have all of our knife pieces cut out and profiles filed into them. I also took the opportunity to cut out the round pieces for my burnisher and the awl. We have the fire going in the forge, and we're going to start off by testing out how this one forges. So we're going to see if we can't turn this octagonal. All right, here we go. We're getting there. We're getting rhombus is what we're getting. Okay, so I mean we've brought it down to somewhat of a taper, almost square, and it's not really that important. I mean, it's going to end up buried in a handle, but I think we're about ready to take another heat and turn this into an octagon. All right. Corners. And drop it in the water. Straighten this up a little bit now. I'd say that looks pretty good. Put that over here to the side. Now we can start working on one of our other marker knives. Alright, so for this one, we need to mark off where we want the handle to be and what part we want the knife to be. So I'm going to take about half of this and turn it into the tang. So you can see it's starting to taper down. This is going to take quite a few firings, and my forge doesn't really run hot enough for this thick a material, so it's going to take a little extra work from us. And back in the fire.